Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. We have a board meeting followed by a committee of the whole meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 22nd, 2013. It's about 7:02 p.m. Calling this to order. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Booth, would you please call the roll?
Present.
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 Present. Present.
Present. We do have a quorum this evening. Okay, our first item under presentation is a presentation to Chief April Padlick for 30 years of service in the Westchester Police Department. I know we mentioned this at last 2 weeks ago board meeting, but the plaque wasn't ready, so what else is new? So without further ado, on behalf of myself, certainly all the trustees and all the people who built in Westchester, the service recognition award presented to you, Chief of Police, the Westchester Police Department, with sincere appreciation for your commitment to our village and your dedication to providing outstanding service to the citizens of Westchester for the past 30 years.
Wow.
Doesn't seem like 50. Anyway. Someday. 2013, and myself and Tiffany.
We like Valerie.
Come on.
And of course, I have my phenomenal staff here. I just want to say that, for the record, I'll remind you I was 10 when I started. They say that if you really love what you do, you really never work another day in your life. And I remember the day I got the phone call that I was accepted here, and I screamed so loud that my neighbors thought something was happening at the house. And now it's hard to believe that 30 years has gone by, but now there are days I just scream. But with that, I just want to say thank you. It's been a privilege and an honor to be here. I love being a police officer and I love serving this community. I want to thank the board. I want to thank all my department heads for your support. Of course, I want to thank my staff. And of course, my family.
Get a family photo.
I remember reading the article when April first got hired. Oh.
He's coming to the dinner. Just bring it to him.
Lieutenant Jeff Mersch, Lieutenant Michael Hagan,
I know where to find you.
Ron Nicholas, Detective Eric Corporal,
After 29, forget it.
Sergeant Joe Mann.
Too much information.
Stand up in the middle.
Be like this.
Waldo? You'll be in the. Who is this guy?
Okay, in our audience this evening, we have a special guest. For those that may not know, Manuel Chris Welch, he's in our audience. He's now representing us in the 7th District, which I'm not sure what your northernmost boundary is, but I know you are into LaGrange Park as well. So probably 294 to Chicago, and I don't know if you get up to Schiller Park or right that far, or Rosemont, just a little bit underneath that. So we're pretty close. So, Chris, the floor is yours. Why don't you step up and introduce yourself? For those that don't know, Chris has decided to open up his office in Westchester, right across from the Ashland Addison Florist. And he's having an open house this weekend. So, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone, Mayor, Board of Trustees. I definitely have to begin my comments by congratulating the chief. 30 years of service, that's awesome. Because you don't even look a day over 25. I swear, she looks good. I came here tonight because I wanted to, number one, thank you, Mayor and Board, for welcoming me with open arms as we began the process of opening an office here in Westchester. The staff in the village have been more than helpful, and I just wanted to make it a point to be here tonight to thank you, the board, and all of the employees in the village for really making our move to the town very easy. The mayor mentioned we are located right here, right down the street. Our office address is actually 10055 Roosevelt Road, Suite E. It's across from the flower shop. A lot of folks know it as the place where Al, the insurance guy, is located. He's our landlord. What a great guy. He's just made our life, just really wonderful. I'm looking forward to being here. Westchester is the heart of the 7th District, right smack in the middle. We go as far east as River Forest, as far west as Berkeley, south to LaGrange Park, and north to parts of North Lake and Melrose Park. We make up about 108,000 people. And I wanted to be in a place where everyone can get to me and where constituent services was really important. I really wanted to be right here in Westchester on Roosevelt Road, and we made that happen. So I wanted to thank you for helping me make that happen. Invite everyone out this Saturday from 1 to 3. Residents, more than welcome. Please, this is your community office, constituent service office. We're there from 1 to 3 as an open house. It's also an open house with a purpose. I'm going to be passing out surveys. I do want to know what everyone feels individually, what's important to you. The 98th General Assembly is going to be tackling some really tough issues in the next few months. We're going to be tackling the pension issue, the gambling issue, gun control. I'm getting bombarded already, and we've only served for 2 days so far in Springfield. And we're just getting inundated with various positions on these issues. I want to know what my district feels about these issues. I'm one vote, but I carry a proxy for 108,000 people. So I want to make sure when I cast that one vote, I know how you feel on these very important issues. So please come on out to our open house, see the new constituent service office, know that it's there for you, but also help me figure out what we're going to do on some of these tough issues. So thank you again, Mayor. Thank you, Board, and I look forward to serving.
Thank you.
Well, you can't go away without our wish list. So,
You were prepared.
Oh, yeah. Oh, jeez.
a few years ago, 2009.
That's the summary version,
Serious.
by the way.
It's only 150 pages, Chris.
No, I kept it short. I highlighted just the parts that are. I'm going to give you a copy of House Bill 313, and the highlighted spots are the amount of money that we were supposed to receive out of the capital. So your first job, or any other township, is to try to acquire, I'll say all, but most, some, a portion, preferably all.
$1.50.
Everything. Just for us. And if there's any bucks over that somebody else don't want, we certainly swing it over. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Just for the record, I acknowledge receipt. Thank you. I'm going to do my best. Come out swinging. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Just make sure of one thing, that when the cardboard check comes, that there's the little one taped to the back. Because the last one we got, we had a hell of a time trying to slide it through the drive-up window. So.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris, for coming this evening and introducing yourself to our board. I know we're going to have a great relationship. WCMC drive-down's coming up in I guess February. Will be March. We'll certainly be down there knocking on your door and having you show us the sights. That's if you know where the bathrooms are yet. So there you go. Well, thank you again for being here. Public comments or questions to give as many visitors as possible an opportunity to speak. And in the interest of adjourning by 9, please limit your comments to 3 minutes in length unless further time is granted by the board. Janet and I were down at the county last week, and they did an interesting thing. Everyone was given 3 minutes, and at the 1 minute mark, the clerk indicated so, and also at the 30-second mark. So without any further ado, anyone like to address the board, please step up to the podium. Fire away.
That's a very nice thing that the county is doing. Maybe we should extend it to the board, too. My name is Timothy Hinsdale. I'm a local resident speaking as a private citizen. And unfortunately, the topics I'm going to talk about are in the Committee of the Whole. And unfortunately, there's no comments at the beginning of the Committee of the Whole. You have to wait till the very end, which could be hours. So I'm going to use this time to address those topics. I might want to even suggest that you might want to add that to your agenda, that you allow comments at the beginning of the Committee of the Whole. I've made that suggestion to have comments at the beginning and end of each village and other government bodies here in Westchester, and the library adopted it, and so did the school board on my recommendation. One of the things in the committee is a proposed amendment for the garbage and waste. This was an item that was brought up by a resident who was concerned about the seniors having to take out their garbage late at night. And I spoke to her again today, and she asked that I represent her and say that you didn't quite listen to her carefully enough, because you're proposing to change that time to 5 p.m. And she was very concerned about being in the dark during the winter months. So she'd like to ask you to maybe, when you have that discussion, to reconsider moving that so that, her biggest concern is hauling out the tote, after dark. So maybe you could look at something and just amend it so it just says 1 hour before sunset or something, and then you don't have to have a time. It'll change with the seasons. But just something for you to consider. Also, the amendment that you're going to do to the code about landscape refuse. I've read that just many times, and I just can't understand what it is you're trying to change. The verbiage talks about eliminating the word person, because you didn't, it states in here that that there's no way for a private citizen to throw that. That's simply not true. The ordinance, as it states, doesn't talk anything about the disposal. It merely talks about not putting it onto public property. So you should go back and revisit that and examine it a little closer. The changes that are proposed are illogical. And then finally, another ordinance that's going to be, or actually this isn't an ordinance as much as it is a suggestion to allow a process to lower the taxes at 2 properties on Gardner Road. I think it's a great thing to want to do a stimulus, to bring in more employment opportunity. But I think you need to weigh the benefit to the village. I mean, the proposal is to allow for a reduction in the taxes that are going to be paid for those buildings, a significant amount, 15% reduction, and in the assessed value of the property. And I think and then the property that's being proposed is a chemical storage. Thank you. I'm being told that can I continue with the board's permission?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Mid-thought.
Thank you. And so I think you need to weigh very carefully. I can't see how much economic benefit it would be to the village. I mean, we would provide a few jobs, but that's not going to create, any more money for the village. Although they could have lunch here. But I'm really concerned about the amount of money that you'll be giving up in tax revenue versus, I mean, I applaud that you're trying to figure out a way to stimulate some employment, but at the cost of the village, you know, in reducing that. And also, I don't know how many people want a chemical storage facility in Westchester. I mean, if that's that's what's being proposed, if that's the stimulus, it's not a very good one. But I want to thank you for the extended time, and I hope you'll really seriously consider the suggestion I made about allowing comment at the beginning of the cow, so that I don't have to spend it.
Thank you. Those items are on the committee of the whole.
Yes, they are.
They're being talked
Discussed.
about pretty much for the first time today, so I appreciate your comments
Well, I
as
hope
well.
I've
I'm
given
sure
you
we'll have a discussion.
something to think about.
Sounds good. Thank you. Anyone else? Please step up.
My name is Jerry Sorrell. I'm from 1024 Hall Avenue here in Westchester. I've been a resident of this community for about 17 years now, come this May. And even after all this time, I still find it offensive for us to continue to pick garbage up on the third Monday of January on Martin Luther King's Day. And I know I've talked to several administrations over the years and said that this was an issue that we could easily be addressed. So now I have a week's worth of garbage that wasn't picked up yesterday because I refused to put my garbage up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Please step up. Anything? Okay. Our next item is a public hearing.
So Sam, we do have Zoran Maltinovic, thank you, from Kane McKenna here to answer any questions that may arise regarding this public hearing.
Okay, well, let's start by opening this thing up here. I've announced that the next agenda item for the board is the public hearing. I, as president, as hearing officer, have the following statement to read into the record. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This hearing will come to order. Let the record reflect that this is a public hearing being held pursuant to the requirements of sections 10 and 20 of the Bond Issue Notification Act of the State of Illinois as amended. Notice of this hearing was published on January 9th, 2013 in the Westchester Suburban Life, a newspaper of general circulation in the village. The purpose of this hearing will be to receive public comments on the proposal to sell bonds to the village of Westchester in an amount not to exceed $8 million for certain public infrastructure improvements or infrastructure projects, including but not limited to acquisition and construction of improvements to municipal roads and streets, access roads, bridges, and sidewalks, waste disposal systems, and water and sewer line extensions, water distribution and purification facilities, stormwater drainage and retention facilities, and sewage treatment facilities within the village. Okay. Are there any comments from body of trustees this evening? Anything? Nope. Okay. I'm sorry. Is there anyone who wished to submit any written testimony? So if you have anything written to submit to me, I will certainly read it into the record. If not, then I'll ask all residents, taxpayers, and other interested persons attending this hearing wishing to provide oral testimony or any comments concerning the proposed bonds to please stand so they may have an opportunity to testify and to make those comments. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I have a number of questions
Where's your
that I'd
microphone?
like to ask.
If you go to the microphone, ma'am.
Sure. I don't usually need it, but. First one is, how much do we actually have already out in bonds?
Mrs. Waters, for the record, would you mind,
Waters,
and your address as well, please?
758 Gardner.
There we go. Okay, the question is, how much in bonds do we have outstanding?
Right.
Janet?
We have approximately $5 million in bonds outstanding from our 2010 bond issue.
Okay, so we have 5 million,
originally, when, I would say 4 years ago, maybe 8 years, we had $7 million in reserves. How much of that do we still have?
We have approximately $4 million in reserves.
Okay, so we're already 1 million in the hole, as my arithmetic goes. And how are we gonna pay for this?
The bonds that we're proposing to issue will be paid for by the recently enacted non-home rule sales tax of 1% that was passed on the November 6th ballot.
Do you expect to get 8 million plus for the 1% tax that we're gonna get?
Our current bonding authorization limit is $8 million. We are not proposing to bond for $8 million at this time.
And I don't know if you read the paper, the Tribune, that was dated Sunday, January 6th. And it says how small suburbs exploit the tax loophole. So if your 1% is not able to pay on this 8 million, the taxpayers have to foot the bill whether we like it or not. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay, so we're just assuming or hoping that this is going to pay. Otherwise, we get stiffed right, left, and in between, right?
No, ma'am. We are not going to issue any bonds in excess of the revenue that the Illinois Department of Revenue has estimated for us that we will be collecting. So we will not be asking for the maximum $8 million at this time because that does exceed our estimated revenues.
Okay, but according to this article, even if you were able to get the amount of money you expect to get, but you find that there might be a need for that tax for some other part of the village, you can still turn around and say, well, we're not going to pay it out of this 1%. We're going to go to the taxpayers and tell them they have to foot the bill.
No, that non-home rule sales tax that was passed is restricted for infrastructure improvements, and the first priority is the debt service payments on these bonds.
I think you better read this article then, because that's not what this says. And it shows that there have been villages that have done exactly that. So my concern is we're already in debt, which how many years ago? 4 years ago? We owed no one nothing. And now all of a sudden we're pushing ourselves into all these bonds that it costs us money to get them, and whether we like it or not, the interest rate, even if it's small, it's large when it comes to a budget item for the village of Westchester. So that's basically my concern. And I wish that we had had more time or knew what was going on, because I probably would have walked the streets with asking the voters to sign that we don't want it done. But you have, and that was kind of ambiguous anyway, because you gave me there was two different dates on that also. So it's very confusing. One said you needed 750 people, and another one said you needed 200 signatures. So that was a little confusing too. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Oh, Brian.
Sam.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian.
Just a point of clarification. If you listen to the last meeting, I'm not in favor of issuing the bonds to the tune that they're talking about, but the use of funds for other than the infrastructure was an option, and that's what other towns do. They keep it open so they can spend it on operating costs. This board elected to restrict the funding so that we're not allowed to do that. So, yep.
And the other piece is the $5 million in bonds. It was earmarked for approximately half of the motor fuel tax money.
It's me again. I would just like to say that I think that the amount that you authorized, not the amount that you're going to go for, but the amount that you authorized, is too high. I think it should have not been above $5 million. I know that's not what's before us tonight. The authorization has already been passed, but I think a really valid point was just made about the amount of money that you roll out the bonds for had better be very carefully calculated on how you're going to pay for it, because And I think that you, by giving yourself a ceiling of $8 million, you kind of overextended yourselves because sometimes you'll see that carrot and you'll say, well, I can go up to $8 million, and you'll take it and won't have the money at the end to pay. Thank you for allowing me to speak again.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Anyone? Okay, after completion of all the testimony and comments from the residents, taxpayers, and other interested parties, the president announces that all persons desiring to be heard had been given an opportunity to present oral and written testimony with respect to the proposed issuance of the bonds. Looking for a trustee to move and second that the public hearing be adjourned.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan and Wally. All in favor of adjourning the meeting of the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, say no. Public meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your comments.
Should be noted that's 7:29 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, item number 7, the consent agenda. We have A, B, and C. Approval of the record of bills in the amount of $1,027,268.06. Resolution authorizing the engagement of Sikich auditing services for fiscal year ended 2013 and April 30th, 2014. And a resolution regarding the periodic review of closed meeting minutes of the Village of Westchester. Anything, oh, Brian, anything need to be pulled?
Please pull items B and C.
B, C. Okay, item number A. Anyone else want to pull anything? If not, is there a motion, a second, to approve item number A, the record of bills?
So moved.
I'm sorry, is that Tom?
You got it, Tommy?
Sure.
I'll second.
Tom and Frank? Okay. Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Item number B, resolution authorizing engagement of Sikich. Is there a motion and a second for approval? Motion by?
So moved.
Tom, second by?
Second. Wally.
Wally? Frank? Okay.
Wally Frank.
All right. Discussion. Brian? Anything?
In light of the fact that they had, after the last meeting in which they indicated that the report for the agreed upon procedures had been issued. In fact, it had not been issued. So we still have an open issue with them regard to that report and with regard to payment that was made with that. I request that this item be postponed until that issue is resolved.
Yeah, Janet?
To that regard, Ann and I had a phone conference with Dan Berg, the current audit partner from Sikich, this morning regarding this issue. There had been some confusion with us during the past week. Dan indicated that he met with the prior audit management team, the partner was Fred Lance, to discuss the project, and had gotten clarification that this was not defined as a separate agreed upon procedures engagement, but was additional procedures added to the audit. They did include the recommendations on the gas and fuel system in their management letter comments in 2011 and 2012. And as such, we are not being billed for a separate agreed upon procedures report.
Then I remove my objections.
Okay. With that being said, there's a motion and a second on the floor for approval. Kathy, roll call, please.
Mr. Novak?
No.
Mr. Terry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Bituso?
Aye.
Mr. Fulia?
Aye, motion carries as well. Item number C, resolution regarding a periodic review of closed meeting minutes. Motion second for approval. Motion by?
So moved.
All right, Wally and Paul. Discussion, Brian.
The way this is written, it appears to be an all-inclusive for the closed meeting minutes, which, if I recall, we did not review all of the closed meeting minutes. I believe that was only 2009 that we reviewed.
So we need to review 2009, 10, 11, and 12. Is that not correct?
Correct, and I think we had only addressed, half a dozen minutes in 2009 and during that closed session that's referenced. So I think it'd be inappropriate to indicate that we've reviewed all of our minutes and have deemed them to continue to be confidential.
My recollection was we discussed all of the minutes. I don't know what each individual trustee reviewed, but we are required under the Open Meetings Act to consider releasing executive session or closed meeting minutes twice annually. And my experience with this municipality is we keep those minutes closed, but trustees, board members have the opportunity to review all of those minutes. I don't know what was actually physically present at that executive session, but we did have a discussion regarding a recommendation to keep those minutes closed. So if somebody feels that they need more time to review those minutes, I guess my recommendation would still be the same following that review. So,
Any comments from the board members?
I'll be honest with you, Brian, I don't recall a review of such meeting minutes, so, and you're right, it is a very not secluded,
Inclusive.
inclusive. So,
During that meeting, it was specifically noted that only the 2009 minutes were requested to be prepared, and that's what I believe Clerk Booth prepared as requested. So I don't have an issue if we limit the proposed resolution to the 2009 minutes. We have not reviewed all the minutes to that tune. So,
Well, let's schedule something, an executive session then, to review them all, and then we'll do them all at the same time. So at this point in time, there's a motion and a second on the floor for approval, but we can change that to table till our next meeting.
I make a motion to table this until the next meeting.
I'll second that.
can I suggest that it be tabled for 2 meetings, because you're going to need a meeting for the trustees to review the minutes. And typically, those minutes are made available for the trustees to review. I can never recall, in all the years that I've been practicing law, that the Open Meetings Act has been in existence, that trustees sat and looked through every single minute from a closed session for all years at the same executive session. So there needs to be some work done outside of that closed session for trustees to look at those minutes. You can imagine how long it would take, particularly this board, to go through.
If they're provided, I'll read
minutes,
them
so-
beforehand.
yeah. Well, I remember back on the school board, we set up sessions to review certain, because we sat and reviewed them, and then, voted, so I remember doing that. So, I mean, it is done. I just have a problem voting on something. I don't know what I'm saying.
I remember when Don Strina was sitting here, that we went through minutes that didn't pertain to when we were on the board. And reviewed those.
You need to
So,
I mean, the review.
well, I'm saying we've been through that. It's been a
Well,
little
let's
while.
do this. Mike said there's probably the second meeting in February. We'll gear up to that. The trustees make arrangements through.
I just have one question. Can those meetings, minutes be given ahead of the meeting to review? Or
That's
is
what
that
Mike was
That's what
referencing.
I'm suggesting.
That's
You
fine.
really need to look at them and decide
Which ones you want.
if you want any release to the public. And they do encompass minutes for all times that are from executive sessions, not just when you're on the board, so.
I mean,
Is that enough
these are
time?
confidential documents, so what I would suggest is that we'll make an appointment, we'll do whatever, trustees review them, if there's a question. I know in the school board, Wally, you're correct, but what we used to do, if you remember, if the minutes were superfluous, so to speak, we approved them at the next meeting for release. depending on the
But I know
topic.
we also reviewed them, and
Yes.
then we,
The ones that were left. we
Right.
did. So, why don't we do that? We'll schedule some time to have that done, and we'll
sounds
do
good.
them all at one time. Sound like a plan? Okay, there's a motion and a second. All right, so we have to rescind the motion and a second for the approval. And then there's a motion and a second to table it until February, whatever date, correct?
Second meeting in February.
Okay. Okay,
Like the 19th or something like this.
okay. So Tom and Frank, you rescind your motion for approval?
Yes.
Okay. Wally and Paul, motion for tabling. All those in favor of tabling
No,
these
it-
until the?
No.
That was,
No, it was Wally and
it was
Paul did
myself
the,
and
did the
Paul too.
motion.
Wally and
And-
Paul.
So we rescind our
Was it-
motion.
They rescind, I made the motion, Frank second for
Okay.
the.
All right. Brian and Frank, I'm sorry.
I made the motion to table it, and Frank seconded it.
Right. Paul and I made the motion to approve it, so we're rescinding
That's
that.
rescinded.
Okay, and Brian and
Frank,
Frank made the motion to rescind, or to table.
table.
Okay, all right. All those in favor of tabling until the second
Aye.
meeting in
Aye.
February?
Aye.
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 Any opposition? No.
To the audience, that was quite exciting,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
All right,
Yeah.
all right, we have that.
First exec minutes, I'd like
All right,
to see are the
active
ones where we said
agenda.
That we just want.
Item number A, resolution authorizing Janet, our village manager, to tender a rescission letter to the withdrawal notice to Irma for the coverage year beginning January 1, 2014. Janet,
Yes.
comments?
We were directed by the board to go out and obtain quotes for our liability and workers' comp insurance. We are currently a member of the Intergovernmental Risk Management Agency, which is a risk pool for governmental entities. We did go out to 2 private insurance brokers and another risk pool. As participants in Irma, once we had tendered our withdrawal letter on December 28th, you have to tender a withdrawal letter an entire year in advance for Irma, or you must continue in the program for that year. So we tendered a withdrawal notice on December 28th, had a tight 45-day required rescission period. We did contact the 3 vendors, one of whom was unable to provide a quote. One provided a verbal quote, and another provided a written quote. We found that we could not obtain a competitive quote to match Irma's membership contribution in the open market. So I am asking the board to approve for me to send a rescission letter to Irma, taking back that withdrawal notice and remaining a member in the Irma pool for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2014.
Motion.
So moved.
Okay, is there a motion by Nick?
Oh,
Second by
second.
who? I'm sorry.
Brian.
Brian.
Brian?
Paul's not in here.
Okay.
Wally.
Motion by Nick, second by Brian, to approve the resolution of the rescission letter to Irma. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. You went to the
He
left.
stepped up.
Stepped up.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, we'll send that letter off
Post
tomorrow.
haste.
Okay. Item number B on the active agenda, resolution approving the collective bargaining agreement between the Village of Westchester and the Metropolitan Alliance of Police, Westchester Patrol, Chapter 651. Motion,
So moved.
Second.
Tom. And Frank.
Yeah, if the mayor's asked that we revert to the prior matter and record trustee Gattuso's vote on agenda
Item A, Paul,
A.
the recession
8A.
letter from Irma.
My vote is aye, I'll take it.
Okay, we'll add that to the record, thank you. All right, got a Motion is second for the resolution of collective bargaining. Discussion, anyone? Wally?
Yes, I have a comment concerning an item on page, page 55, 35 or 55.
55.
Yeah, it's, I think document 55 maybe, and PDF file page 35. And on letter
It's
I.
under the section of drug and alcohol.
Right. I
testing.
thought the I recommendation was to be eliminated when we're talking about this contract. And I see it in there. And I was adamant about does everybody know what I'm following?
And
what
what
I'm
we're,
talking about?
we're talking about is item I in the agreement.
Right.
To, require that with regard to alcohol testing for the purpose of determining whether an officer is under the influence of alcohol, test results showing an alcohol concentration of 0.05 or more based upon the grams of alcohol per 100 millimeters of blood be considered positive.
And that's my comment. I in conversations, I thought it was at the request to have that removed. Or, yeah, I believe it was removed.
Were you looking for a zero tolerance on that?
Yeah, where do you want to go with this?
Hang on a second.
Well, I think, and I concur with Trustee Novak. I recall that we had discussions on another matter where drugs and things were involved, and I know I voted no on the fireman contract specifically because I didn't feel that firefighters nor police officers should be allowed to come to work with any alcohol concentration in their blood. Police officers drive squad cars, they have guns. I'm not a fan of any concentration of alcohol in a police officer who's held to a higher standard than the normal citizenry out there. So
I guess that's what I was trying to say. I was in agreement with that.
I know we talked at length. I mean, there's no discounting that we had a firefighter that was arrested in another municipality because of drug possession. And I am just totally against this type of situation. I'm a police officer myself. I've never come to work with alcohol on my breath. And a .05, .08 is presumed intoxicated for the regular citizen driving around. I would think that police officers should be held to a higher standard and a less amount. I think drivers with CDL licenses have pretty much a zero tolerance in that. However, they're allowed a .04. They're put out of service if they have any indication of alcohol whatsoever. Also, what I don't see in here is in the event that an officer gets into a crash where someone gets injured, that there's no mandatory testing at all. Where somebody with a CDL, our Public Works Department, they get in a car accident and they're required to have a blood or urine test, at whatever we propose, to do that. And they are not police department officials, and they are not held to that higher standard. However, they are, by virtue of their driver's license having a CDL. So I have a problem with this myself. If the board doesn't, there it is, but I know we mentioned this, and I was shocked to see that this was in here. So the other piece of the contract, I think we've ironed that out. I think it was done correctly, and I'm just not a fan of that clause. I don't think police officers should come to work with any alcohol on their breath or any alcohol in their system and patrol our streets for the safety of our citizens. So.
Okay, right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian.
In reference to the being able to test the individuals after an accident, I'd asked legal counsel if we're covered under the language in section 12.3, where it allows required employees to submit to your analysis appropriate tests where reasonable suspicion is believed. I don't see a definition of what that reasonable suspicion is. Would we be allowed to test in the case of accidents under that language?
A simple accident in and of itself generally wouldn't be reasonable suspicion. It'd have to be something that leads you to believe that somebody is under the influence of alcohol or drugs. That section that you are referring to, though, that did undergo a revision. If you recall, the context of the other contract that we were discussing in executive session did not have the ability to discharge an employee for the first offense. We were able to negotiate a change in this agreement to provide for that. However, with respect to the .05, as the mayor pointed out, the general public has a .08 standard, and this is a 20-plus year contract relationship between the parties. That this is not new language. This .05's been in there. My guess would be for since the inception of these contracts. So we were able to accomplish the one item in section 12.3, but not change the .05.
And just a point on that .05, I recall that, we obviously had the conversation, which I think we got a little heated, and, the exec about the firefighters contract and the lack of some of the terms in that agreement. And in reference to the CDL and their limitations, and it is disappointing to see that this isn't lower. I don't know what the, what your blood alcohol level would be based on taking cough syrup and medications and so forth. I don't know if that's .02 or what that acceptable level would be. But knowing that a CDL or whatever is less, I think that would have been, it would have been a little bit more palatable to at least see some reduction to address the concerns of the board and what we've, voiced our opinions on, especially in light of the results of the firefighter contract. So it is disappointing to see that still in there. It is nice to see that there is a, an option for a discharge with a positive test, but it would have been nicer to see a stronger language in item I.
Any other comments from the board? Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor for a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement. Kathy, please call the roll.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Novak?
No.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Pulliam?
No. Motion carries as well. Item number 9, manager's report.
Sure. Just one thing to really highlight this time, well, as Sam did say, we went down to the Cook County Board last week and heard about a new land bank program that they're implementing. So that was always interesting to see how the county government works. On Saturday, we did have the privilege of going to a mural unveiling at the library. Libraries put one of their librarians along with I guess it was about 11 kids, have been working for the past few months to create a mural downstairs in the community room. Did a great job. I know Greg is trying to put a picture up on the screen for you to see. But all the kids had a part in doing some part of the mural. It is a mural of the Wolf Row Prairie over the 4 seasons. There's 4 panels with the 4 seasons. I don't know if we'll be able to give you a preview, but we do hope that everybody will stop in there to see this really beautiful piece of artwork. I know we've got 2 of the library trustees here in the audience. There it is. So we hope that you'll all pop in and see that, because it's quite something. So great job by all who had a hand in it. And they actually told us they did, 4 levels: underground, ground, the canopy, and the sky. So if you look real close at the dirt, you'll even see little critters down there in the dirt. So It's fun to look at, so please go check it out.
I take it it's the seasons?
It is the Four
Yes,
Seasons.
Four Seasons.
Where's the construction?
It's a prairie, Wally.
Well, I'm thinking Illinois, it's construction is a season, isn't it?
And that's all I have this evening.
Mr. Attorney, your report.
No report for this evening.
Board members. Let's see, start out with CAB. Anything, Tommy?
I have nothing tonight.
EDC.
Our
know
next
you have
me-
something.
I do a little bit, very little bit. But our next meeting is on Monday morning at 7:30 in the community room here. And we're still focusing on the Leadership Summit, which is supposed to go off on February 4th. But that's basically what consumes our meetings.
Okay. Wally, Green Committee.
I have nothing.
Nothing. Paulie, anything on special?
Yeah, we met Monday morning for the Special Events Committee. Sam, myself, Pete Succi, Dr. Sullivan, Gary Cassanders. We had Janet and April was there too. We had a nice meeting. We had a lot of discussion about events coming up in town. We talked about a mariachi, a little mariachi band in the park, some other different events. The biggest thing we got to talk about, board members, is coming up on budget time. What do we want to spend on this? We need to figure out how much money we can spend before we start going forward and start booking things for little events around the town. So if we can, put our hats on, think about it, submit some ideas and how much we want to spend out of this. Let's figure that out so we can get the ball rolling. It's already January. We need to get things booked. So if we can get that done and get it to Janet, Janet can, forward it to myself, and then we can start the ball rolling.
And
I'm sorry, is there like a preliminary schedule of like some ideas that are going on?
We have one, Wally, it's gonna be forwarded to you.
Okay.
Sam put one together with Molly, so we'll get one together.
What we're looking at is the car shows at 31st and Wolf on Mondays. And Paul pretty much handles that. The third Thursday of every month, we're looking at possibly funding some type of band also at 31st and Wolf. We were thinking about a fiesta type event around Cinco de Mayo, May 4th. We're still looking for a venue to host that. Looking for certainly a fireworks venue. We have our 4th of July parade. The chief has her National Night Out. We're looking at an Oktoberfest. We're looking at something probably enhancing the Veterans Run. Remember a couple of years ago when we had the wall there, we had a band there as well. We're also looking at the possibility, and these are just brainstorming ideas, so if you have any ideas as well, certainly shoot them out there. We're looking at potentially having sometime during the summer a concert with a name band over a one-day operation. The biggest hiccup right now is location. I appeared before the Park District last week and asked them about locations, and I know one board member was not thrilled with having any situation that, in their park to interfere with what the schedules that they have going on, whether it be baseball, softball, things of that nature. The other park commissioners seem certainly receptive to the idea. Certainly they don't want their fields trashed in any manner that they're going to become unusable. But I would counter that it's only an event for an evening, 6 to 10, 7 to 10, whatever it is, that there wouldn't be that much problems there. Parking is always a problem. I wanted to kick off the first event in Gladstone Park. The side of town, I'd like to focus in on that if we can.
Right.
Didn't get a warm reception as far as Gladstone Park because of the parking and things of that nature as well for the one-day event. Talked about fireworks at the park. They certainly have a safety concern, and basically that's outer limits. We met with Tom Healy to try to get fireworks possibly at the golf course. But when he mentioned that there's the methane gas plant up there that I think we want to stay away from that.
That'll be a good fireworks show.
Yeah.
Fresh
Right.
Meadow Golf Course, we talked about that, but we have the safety concern of the rockets plummeting down on Cermak Road. So, the only other thing, and I don't know if we've ever got a return call back from the towers to see if there's something could happen over there. I'm not sure we got a return call
Not
back
at this
as
point.
that. The fourth and final venue is I did make a contact with Joe Tamburino from Hillside and talked just preliminarily about potentially a multi-town fireworks display, possibly at Proviso West. He seemed interested, but we haven't sat down. I wanted to eliminate all other possibilities because the board indicated to me that they would prefer to have fireworks in town. Trying my best, but there doesn't seem to be a venue that's safe enough and secure enough that we may be able to have it. So
Yeah,
unless
for
we
us.
blow them at Nick's house.
That's fine.
So that's pretty much where that is on that
It's
end.
frustrating.
I'm sorry?
So it's frustrating. As much as we come up with ideas, as much as people tell us they want change, everybody wants change as long as it doesn't change anything.
Or it's not change on their part.
I can't understand how we could park on the grass at IHM, but people don't want us walking on the grass in a public park. I don't get it.
You know, that was one board member, it certainly wasn't all. The other ones were certainly receptive to the comments. They wanted more information. I really don't know what more information other than we have an idea, the Cinco de Mayo or whatever you want to call it. I'm looking for a place. Once you get a place and the idea, then doling out the responsibilities is the easy thing. And we have a partnership. The school board was present, or the school district superintendent was there, and he came up with some type of dance idea. We've all, you know, we have a few things that we want to do as far as planning it, but without a venue to have it, you know, I don't know where to go.
Well, it seems like the only area we got is by you, Paul. It seems
But
like
one thing I will say, guys, I think if we pull off a few events this year, just to show what we can probably do, I think we'll get more receptive people to join in on this. So let's think about just about 4 or 5 events for this year that we can pull off very well, and I think everybody will join the wagon. So let's just think about that. Think about some money. Think about what we can do. Get your ideas into us. Be happy to look at them and go through them. We have some already on paper, but I think proving that we can do it and have a good venue would be something that everybody will jump in on.
The other thing I would think is, and I don't know if there's that, is it in June? There's the cancer.
Yeah, you have the
Relay for Life.
walk.
Relay for Life.
Relay for Life.
Right.
Is there some, you know, we could do bands there or help? Oh, wait a minute, that would be on grass.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry.
tough. Even when we do music there,
have too
while
many people on
by
it.
8
I
o'clock
think
they're
that'd be
calling and
great.
saying, turn the music off over at the park, so.
Yeah, I mean, those things are out there. I
Yeah.
did,
I would say put that in there if there's something we can,
well,
you know,
we could
help with that.
piggyback on it.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the park commissioners called me yesterday and had a few ideas, which he shared. One was having like a block party, village block party, and he suggested the parking lot at the park. Now, I don't know if he got any
Has to end at 11.
any buy-in from the rest of his cohorts, but he was saying that he was in favor of doing something there and maybe doing something at Mayfair as far as some kind
That'd
of
be a
block
nice
party.
idea.
And all we were talking about in this meeting was potentially having a couple of vendors, not the 20 that we've had at the fest, but a couple of vendors, some nice bands that we could have, and just try to have some fun. We've even talked about having a kind of a barbecue cook-off with, like we did St. Joe's had the chili cook-off, that we'll get maybe 10 people and put a barbecue thing there and kind of a taste of
Like
barbecue.
Nate Ripple has their Rib Fest, or somebody has, like,
The rib-
Forest Park does a rib contest,
Yeah.
I know,
But
every year.
just something, you know, not a gazillion people,
Yeah.
just a few people from town
Like 10.
to put
That's all we
something
want,
out and do it.
So you got Forest Park does their softball tournament. We do one in May. We can make that a little bit bigger and make that a little bit more enticing for people to come. You know,
I think Tom
we've
said
talked
that
about.
last meeting.
Yeah, so these are things that we're talking about. Our next meeting is, I think, Monday, 28th or something?
24,
Yes.
41.
It is Monday.
So we'll kick those things around and maybe get some of the answers to the questions that are outstanding. That's pretty much where we are. Nikki, anything, 911?
Right now, police and fire, they're gonna be, because the commissioners, 2 of the 3 commissioners are new, they're gonna be, looking at, the vendors, kind of, re-interviewing the vendors and seeing how they want to proceed with for promotions, for hiring, what kind of services are offered. There's been change in legislation, so they're going to reevaluate the vendors. That's pretty much it right now. 911, Melissa's working with a vendor in regards to the sign at Balmoral and Mannheim, and we're waiting for updates on that then.
And the north half is half broken again,
Of course.
so just to let you know.
You know me, I would have wanted it done years ago.
Okay, board president report. Just a couple of things. As you know, I'm involved with the president. I'm on board with him with the gun, I'm going to say restrictions, but tightening up the gun rules. I've been down with Mayor Rahm Emanuel at a press conference right after the Sandy Hook tragedy, and I'm certainly looking for support from this board. On Friday, February 22nd at 10 a.m., Danny Davis, State Senator Kim Lightfoot, and Chris Welch are inviting us to a press conference in the village of Maywood. I know the
What was that date, say?
February 22nd, 10 a.m. at the Maywood Council Chambers. They're focusing on federal, state, and local governments strengthening their gun control laws. I think I sent some stuff out. I've been getting stuff daily about the executive actions of the president and the thoughts out there regarding mayors against illegal guns. I've been part of that since the get-go, and I'm looking for support as well. Background checks and things of that nature. I am an opponent of the semi-automatic weapons and rifles and that, the AR-15s and that, and also the extended magazine clips as well. But I'm looking for some assistance from this board and others that will certainly start the dialogue regarding this tragedy. There's another shooting today at some school in Texas.
Lone
and
Star College.
actually, I'm pretty tired of hearing it. And I think something needs to be done. Not on the soapbox, but I think with all of us talking about it, background checks, the straw purchases where there's no requirement now that if I had a gun to sell it off to somebody, that there's no check done or whatever. Also, Mrs. Prettwinkle's on board with this as well. She sent out a proposed ordinance that she's going to be pushing at the county board level about making mandatory sales and thefts and losts weapons that are reported to us certainly have to be reported to them and logged so they can track them down. Right now, it's a very difficult thing. If our police department secures a weapon from somewhere, they send the serial number into the ATF and that, and they track it back to potentially who bought it. I don't know how far back those records go, but they may go back enough to find out who had it. However, where it went from there, could have been sold a few times. Things of that nature certainly need to be tightened up. I can certainly send you information, more information as I get, but I'm looking for support, obviously, from this board to enhance that initiative.
I'm all for that. Whatever we can do.
So, Okay. That's all I have. Item number 13, executive session, 5 ILCS 122C1, personnel matters, and 5 ILCS 122C11, pending litigation.
We'll do that after the cow.
I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself. Staff reports. Chief Padlock, I'm sorry.
As you mentioned, there has been another shooting in Houston, Texas at a community college, and in keeping with all our school safety review we've been doing the last several weeks, I have extended an invitation to all area schools, to the school executives, the principals, and the superintendent, including the Park District Superintendent, to attend a upcoming school safety training. It's unfortunate that we're at this level, but it's what we have to do. As I mentioned, when we were younger in school, we always worried about tornado drills, and now we have to prepare for this. Also, I'm pleased to announce that the Westchester Police Department was awarded a stalker moving radar unit valued at about $1,400, and this was through our participation in our last IDOT traffic grant campaign. So that was an extra bonus.
Great. Thank you. Annie.
Good evening. As Trustee Gattuso mentioned in his report, we are approaching budget time. I didn't hear that anyone had a conflict with the budget workshop dates of Tuesday, February 19th and Tuesday, March 5th, which are our off Tuesdays. So we will go ahead and call for special meetings on those nights to discuss budget workshops. Additionally, the February 2013 newsletter will feature an article on the taxes paid, your property taxes paid during 2012 for the 2011 property tax levy. Hopefully this will serve as a helpful guide in understanding how your property taxes are calculated, collected, and utilized by the village.
Gregory.
Excuse me. First off, just a few things. I want to congratulate the chief on 30 years. It is a privilege to work with her, work for her, as well as collaborate with her on various projects. And 30 years is great. I can't wait to get there. Another thing, I want to hit on ETSB. I know that we've put out the request for applications and/or resumes. I'm not sure if you've received any as of yet, but that offer is still out there for residents that know somebody that would be interested in participating in the Emergency Telephone System Board. We meet 4 times a year, and possibly a 5th or 6th time, depending on the necessity to meet for specific reasons. But definitely, if anyone on the board knows anybody that'd be interested in as a resident member, we'd be happy to have them. Another thing that I want to mention will be coming up, and it's something that I'll be bringing in front of the board. It's something that has come up every year, but more so this year was with regards to our 911 back-end equipment. For the last 2 years, we've had some great success in not needing any maintenance or repair, but over the last couple months, we've had some issues where our system has needed some repairs, all taken care of through our AT&T contractual agreement with them. They've supplied the parts and labor, so it's not a cost issue, but more of small downtime issues where Broadview has fielded some of our calls. And I personally want to thank them, the Village of Broadview's 911 Center, for helping us during those times. Of course, we've helped them as well, so it's not a one-way street on that, but definitely December, we had an incident where they did have to help us for a few hours there. But yes, I'll be coming in front of the board after I receive some more firm quotes and proposals. I'll be visiting with Berkeley, who just installed a new system. They're very happy with the system they received. I'd like to see what they have. Our building to the west of us houses one of the biggest manufacturers of 911 equipment, and I'd like to sit down with them, and I'll be coming back to the board in the very near future, specifically during budget times, after discussion with Ann and Janet, as to what how the funding mechanism would work to make sure we can, number one, get the best equipment, but get the best value.
Thank you. Dave?
The Department of Public Works has been active since the last board meeting repairing water mains. We've had 8 water main breaks since the last meeting, 3 of them today, as a matter of fact. We've also taken down the village Christmas tree and stored those decorations.
Well, it's coming to your house.
I think it should have been though. It was a great tree. It was.
We've also been busy repairing various building deficiencies. We've completed our measurements for the 2013 street improvement program, which we'll discuss at the COW meeting. We've removed 6 more ash trees. We've got 89 more to go yet this year. Is our goal. We've also installed nearly 50 reflective stop sign sticks, which are the reflective strips that get attached to the post that holds up stop signs to make stop signs more visible. We're focusing on the snow route streets to begin. And that's all.
Okay. Any questions? If not, Melissa?
Hello. Me and my staff have been working with the golf course on permitting the maintenance building, which will complete their next phase of development, and they've been given partial occupancy of one of the maintenance buildings.
Okay, I just want to comment on Melissa. I know I asked Melissa last week to explain some of the economic development activities that she does in the office, in addition to the building permitting roles, and I think that the board may have gotten a copy of this as well. Business attraction, retention, and other business-related activities, and other community development activities for the week of the 14th of January to the 18th. So I asked Melissa that, you know, she's in the office. We know what she does globally, but I would like to make sure that in her role that she's attempting to solicit businesses, bring locations forward, that some economic development could go on, and at least be out there in the forefront asking somebody to come in and take a look at what we have to see if we can fill seats. I know Trustee Stecker, through his contacts in Franklin Park, was able to get some information from ComEd that I think Melissa obtained as well about all the industrial pieces that we have, or commercial pieces that we have, to see what's out there as well. So thanks, Nick, for getting that stuff in. But I do appreciate the update, and I'd like to make sure that it continues so the board knows exactly who we're trying to hunt down, and if they tell us no, they tell us no. So, thank you. Mark Zesh, our engineer, how you do, sir?
No report.
Nothing? Absolutely nothing. Everything is good?
Contractor has started the sewer lining project, and due to weather, was unable to work for the whole. They'll continue cleaning next week and hopefully around after that.
Great. Miss Kathy, anything? You sure?
I'm sure.
Okay. Anyone else? Did we miss anything? Okay. Looks like we have an executive session. We'll have that after the committee of the whole, if the board so desires. So is there a motion and a second to adjourn our board meeting?
So moved.
Nick? Second. Paul? All those in favor of adjourning our board meeting this evening, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, say no. Looks like, what is it, about 8:17?